It's an epic story, it's an epic world, unique characters, it's something we've never seen before. And it's got a lot of, I think important messages about, us today and where we've been and hopefully where we're not headed. Everyone's done fantastical universes and set in our world, and we wanted to create something unique, and hopefully we've done that.
Everything about it is cinematic. From the first time I read the manuscript for the book, I thought this was a movie, and who better to realize the movie than Peter Jackson, the greatest world builder in cinema, so we're thrilled. My biggest challenge was convincing Peter Jackson to do it. He wanted to do it, but just finding the time, and because he was the perfect person to get behind this project. And Christian, he put together a team that is just ideal, so we're thrilled.
First of all, I was very excited about, just working with the filmmakers, and then, when I really dove into the whole world of Mortal Engines and everything else, or the rest to come, if it comes, I just think it's so imaginative and big and beautiful and colourful, and to have the opportunity to play someone like Hester Shaw, who is such a multi-dimensional, interesting human being rather than just, one thing, was just such a relief to even just read for, let alone be offered to play. So I'm just so glad that PHILIP REEVE wrote her, and that we're now able to put her on the screen, and hopefully people can enjoy her in some way. It's amazing to go to New Zealand, where they have all this crew of people that have been working together for decades, and they're just so talented, but also kind of live a normal life, and it felt like making an indie with a lot of money and a lot of toys. I think they can expect an absolute kind of adventure sort of ride where you're just sitting there being like, oh my god, getting goosebumps all the way. But I hope they can also take something else from it, and something will be kind of left with them about, I don't know, we have a female heroine who has a scar on her face. What's that? Like, we don't see that every day. And maybe makes us think a little bit about where we are in the world and what we want out of what kind of life we want to live. And I don't know. I just hope that people will enjoy it.
I haven't worked with Christian before, so it was great to work with him for the first time. And there he is. And but obviously worked with Pete and Fran and Phil, Peter Jackson, and worked in Wellington a number of times. So it was kind of good to go back to the same family, but work on a totally different project and world. So it's always an ever-changing work in progress, working with them, and this was no different. It was fun. Expect something very different. Something very different. It's a love story. It's actually a coming-of-age story, really, and it's about young people realizing that the things their parents have told them are kind of a lot of lies, and it's a world. It's set in the future. And it's a world at war, but there's it's a good adventure too,
For any actor or any artist to be part of such an incredible production with masterminds of creativity, it was such a privilege. And Anna Fang being such a strong, empowered character with such complexities, it was a gift. It was a gift to be able to play her. It actually helped me get empowered myself. So I think they're a unique bunch. I believe they are one of the most authentic creatives who are really true to their art, and it's all from the soul, and they were so collaborative in spirit.
Oh, I mean, I watched their films growing up. You know, it was so special to me, the whole thing. It was beautiful.
Well, I just think, you know, all that we want is for people to go to a movie and have a hell of a good time. The script ultimately is the hard part, because if you get that wrong, you're stuffed. You're stuffed from day one before you've even got the first base. So that's where the pressure really is. Yeah. It's great to have faces that are, you know, actors that are fantastic, but not necessarily people you've seen before. So you're not distracted by familiar faces going across the world where they don't really belong. So, you know, it gives you a chance to actually, for all your characters to really feel embedded in the world.
Well, it's like nothing you've ever seen before. It's a little bit bonkers, actually. I mean, the idea of having giant predatory cities roaming the earth, you know, that had me from the word go. But the fact that it's got such amazing characters in it was just, you know, really the reason we wanted to make it. And then being able to cast it with such an amazing cast of young, you know, up-and-coming actors was also a joy, just to see them start to become those characters. Oh, the biggest challenge. I think for myself as a writer, just getting out of the way of a really great idea. So, you know, just letting the story speak for itself in a way, because you know, you can get very lost in trying to you know, explain something that's actually just incredibly visual. And you know, the opening sequence of the film, which is phenomenal, Christian shot beautifully, tells you everything you need to know about the world you're about to fall into. So yeah, it's been great watching it happen.
I wanted to be part of the Mortal Engines world because the Mortal Engines world was being taken care of Peter Jackson and team, and to work with those guys is really honestly a dream. You know, I'm not someone who sort of deals in earnesty that often, so it just feels, but it's an extraordinary lovely thing for me to have gotten the chance to work with these brilliant people. And Tom Natsworthy is my character, and he's an apprentice historian in the London Museum. And he basically spends his time finding old tech, which means like toasters and kettles and fax machines and stuff that's from a former age, you know. So that's what my character kind of is. I think people are going to see something that they've never seen before. I think that's what people go to the cinema for these days, and nobody understands that better than Mr. Jackson, Sir Peter Jackson himself. But you know, he knows more than anybody how to create something that people haven't seen before, and that's what people go to the cinema for. So I think people are in a safe pair of hands going to see this movie, I think.
It all starts from the top, really. Peter Jackson creates an atmosphere of creativity and of kind of joy, a kind of rustic joy in making films. There's something, as big as film as this is, there's something homemade about it, you know? You feel you're working among friends, you feel you've been invited into a family when you're working here, and I just felt every day on set it was certainly challenging, the work, but it was also so collegial. It was a very friendly, good place to be. He finds a reason for living, and more than that, he finds something that he cares about, and it's a totally unfamiliar feeling to him. It's something that he's not comfortable with, he doesn't understand at all, but it drives him on. And his story is kind of it's a tragic story, but it's a very beautiful story to me.